everyone. What's going on?
Hey, can you see
How
me?
you doing?
I can't see myself.
You can't see yourself?
No, it's a black screen here.
Oh, that sucks. I can see you. Do you want to try
You
one more
can?
time? Yeah, I can.
Yeah. I mean, if you can see me, I'm cool.
I can see you. I can see you. I have a high value on seeing myself though. 'Cause, it's
I trust you. How do
okay.
I look?
You
Am
look
I okay?
amazing. Amazing
Okay.
as always. Thank you. I miss you. What's going
Oh, I
on?
miss you too. I'm doing good.
Good,
I'm
good.
doing good.
All right, all right. So folks are starting to join, and we are just saying hello to everybody. But so
Okay.
you can see this. So you can't even see the screen. You can't see questions. You can't
I
see
can
the.
see. I can see you. I can see who's joining in.
Okay, good.
It's just black on my side.
All right, all right, all right. Got you,
I
got you,
think
got
this is to help me to not be so self-conscious.
you. Yes.
Yes, hey,
Listen,
what's
universe,
goody?
universe coming through. You know. All right, so I think it's your first time joining IG Live, and IG Live don't play. We got 60 minutes from start to finish, so
Okay,
let's jump in, or else they just mid sentence. We gone. All
got
right.
you.
So again, thank you for joining us. This is Minister Jazz, a friend of Afros and Audio, friend of mine. I put up we ain't gonna go through the whole bio. She's just dope. Minister's dope. We're gonna get into. You're gonna absolutely learn everything that you need to learn about her tonight. That she wants you to learn about her tonight, and and then her biography is on the page, bro. So go check it out. Enjoy. But we wanted to talk about some things tonight. You know what I'm saying? We all in this together. We all kind of going through the same things around here, and some of us are going through the thing, but not the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So we wanted to discuss beliefs tonight, like beliefs, and where they stem from, what they are, how they control us, how they liberate us, and both and imprison us. You know what I'm saying? So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
So first of all, I'm here in Philadelphia. I'm so excited. I am sitting in my sister's bookstore, Harriet's Bookshop,
There you
in
go.
Philadelphia. And starting off today, my sister has shared on social media that some people had sent some hate email,
Mm-hmm.
and it really triggered a lot of things in regards to when hate is directed, where does it land? Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of times I realize my sensitive places and the wounds that are constantly scratched when I feel angry, when I feel agitated, when I feel frustrated. I'm like, oh, there's a wound, and it becomes awareness. And what I know about that, there's no actual wound on me, right? So
Right.
there's a belief in my head about something that I've held true to myself that I feel
Mm-hmm.
that is being attacked. Right. So what is that? It could be as simple as my belief in life and my ability to live free in liberty and who it is that I am and express that. It could be my belief in my blackness and what that means to me and how I've been
Mm-hmm.
able to express that in the world. It could be my belief in capitalism and whether it's a system that is corrupt or a system that is helpful. So there's all of these different things. So this one email genuinely brought up like my belief in the freedom of speech, right?
Right.
Like
Right. Right.
somebody was on their side expressing what it is that they believe in
Believe.
or
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
right? Their belief. Where's the line of what makes that right or wrong? To me, belief comes down to what it is that we accept as true,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of evidence of that being so.
Word. I respect that. I respect that. And it comes to mind those triggers, right? And that triggers are both something to look at and something that can be held, right? I say two things, right? If you don't have the button to push, the button can't be pushed, right? That's the first thing. And, and and if your triggers come up for you, it's something that you get to be like, ooh, that hurt. And why did that hurt? Like let's go deeper. Let's examine. Let's go into that. Let's unpack that. As the people say. because they're there for a reason, and 9 times out of 10 they came from something, some type of experience. Now, because of social media these days, there's a lot of secondhand and thirdhand experiences that cause trigger and angst as well. But you know, it's a real thing, and it's always an opportunity. To me, it's always an opportunity to look at it and deal with it. I definitely hold the belief that once you can own it, you can take agency of something and work through it, you know, or not. There's the other option.
I would say I own the belief that everything in life is unfolding in perfect order. That particular belief system allows me the freedom to own something or not. Right. Yes, I can say, I can say, you know, this is just the way it is, and feel completely free in that approach. Whereas I know some people that annoys other people about me, even where it's like, yo, just care about something, and I'm like, but it doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, because for me it feels restrictive and burdensome. Something if I have to feel, I have to feel like I have to, you know, dissect every single emotion that I have. You know, there's a big trust there, and to me, again, belief is a part of this, where there's this trust in the unknown, and there's a trust in that, you know, there's some things that I can't control, and that's okay
at all. Right Absolutely.
So you know, there's things that came before me that I was not in control of, so there's things that will come in the future that I won't be able to control, and why not? Are there things now that I can't either, that I shan't, you know, try to be in control of? And so in that space, for me, that's where freedom lies. Where does freedom lie to you? What does freedom look like to you?
So for me, I mean, this is big Scorpio energy. We got to, you know, this is something that we're like, you know, it's like, I don't like to be restricted, restrained. Don't tell me what to do. I got this. I'll learn as I go, or I'll learn as I choose, but leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? You know, I really believe that the universe is always working in our behalf, even when we don't think it does. It is, you know. I'm always in that belief that there's something bigger that I may not be aware of, right? And so I say we can't have selective trust. You either trust and believe, or you don't. Don't be selective about it based on what's going on, right? And so that's a big freedom for me, because I'm not saying I don't get in my bag. You know, we all do. I'm not saying I don't get down and upset about things. However, I do believe that the universe is working on my behalf in any way and always. And you said something that triggered that. I always bring this up because I love it so much. Maya Angelou's book, Wouldn't Trade Nothing for My Journey Now. And for me, it's that belief that this is our makeup. What we've gone through, what we've experienced, is a part of who our being, our makeup, who we are, and who we're becoming. That's freedom to me. You know, it allows me not to be so. I don't take myself too seriously. You know, I'm riding till the wheels fall off. You know?
Yeah. One of the things that COVID culture has created for me is a newfound freedom in storytelling, where I once believed that I was a great storyteller. Now I realize that storytelling is a medicine, and it's more medicinal to me, because in these stories that I tell, it's the stories that I now experience in my mind first, and then I share that experience with others, and being selective in that, right? Being more selective in the things that I share, knowing that these things are contagious. Knowing that these things have lives of their own, as they leave my mouth onto your ears and into your mind, they're now taking on forms that I can't control. So just being mindful of that in which I'm sharing and giving, and it's just the opportunity to slow down, to even become aware of that. And in COVID, I've had the opportunity to then now create new worlds. I've had the opportunity to rewrite history. right? It's like,
Yeah.
what do you mean rewrite history? I found a new love in telling alternative history stories,
Hmm.
right? So really taking things, new information that I didn't know from history, and saying, well, what if this happened? What would be the trajectory from there?
Right.
And
Right.
and it's just imagining those things and
Hmm.
creating new futures based on my imaginings, and just interjecting that to create new futures.
Yeah.
I don't like the way things are going, Talib. Like I'm not a big fan of the way things are
Not a
going.
fan.
You
Not
know,
a
I've been
fan at all. Yeah.
and so I said, what can I do?
Hmm.
Right? Feeling helpless was not helpful, and I said, what can I do? And that's when I really went into the storytelling and being able to rewrite things in a way that they will become more telling, more exposing,
Hmm.
more thought yielding, right? And not just surface like ha ha he for the laughs, but like really provoking metamorphosis in our spirits and in our awareness. And so this is how I've become essentially a preacher again,
Yeah.
is in being with characters. But then it got real deep, because I was like, oh, this is what happened, what they did with the Bible.
I mean that part. That part, you know. It everything is a in my opinion, everything is a revision. It's so every last one of us, and that's, you know, we've heard the statement, you know, black people aren't a minor, you know, what the hell is the
Not
word?
monoliths.
There you go.
You got it.
And yes, and you know, no one else is, and so, but then it's like it goes a little bit further. There are experiences that we share, sure, right?
Yes.
But we could grow up in the same house and have different
Yes.
perspectives,
Yes.
have different filters, you know,
Yes.
have different experiences. There's things about my twin sister that I'm
Yes.
like, what you mean? When did that happen? And that's how you took that, you know,
Right.
when because I that's how I took it, you know, and it's
Right.
like either way, what, you know, whether it's your own people, you know, your family or people outside of yourself, everyone is coming with their own perspective,
Yes.
experience, and filter. and
Yes.
and just knowing that, how much story gets created
Right.
inside between, you know, in the middle part, those things that are unspoken, you
Yeah.
know, but we think we know and don't have a damn clue because we're not talking, and then we think we're weird or eccentric when you just ain't talked to the person next to you who have the same damn thoughts, you know, similar thoughts,
Right.
you know. I mean, it's something to be said about
And
um
even the lock and key
yeah.
of thoughts, right? So the thing that you might be saying might, even though I might not have the same thoughts, I might have the formation. And so then it opens up something that I didn't even know was there, right? And
Absolutely.
so that's
Absolutely.
one of the things that we get to be mindful of when we're not sharing.
Hmm.
It's like I might have the key, or you might have the key, you know, and being okay with being vulnerable in that
Yeah.
way, to
You
be
know,
able to unlock the world.
absolutely. And another piece of that, and this is something I recognized for my own personal self, was I had disconnected from a lot of my history, a lot of my past, a lot of my foundation, simply because
Mm-hmm.
either I'm just, you know, living, I'm grown now, I'm moving forward, and or there's some shame and guilt attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
even if it was for an hour or a year or a month. But it's something about that experience or that part of my life that I chose to disconnect. And once you get committed to reconnecting yourself to those, your history, your grandmom, you know,
Oh my
your
God.
life, your
Yeah.
it's just it changes things. But the opportunity to reconnect is, for me, is always there. And then the opportunity to tell the story. I used to
Right.
never tell people where I was actually from because
Oh,
you know, I had a chicken coop in the back. Who wants to tell that story in Brooklyn? You know what I mean?
I'm so excited to hear that story. I don't think you ever told me about your chicken coop.
Word. But then when I tell the story and I see people like, tell me more, like they're intrigued, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so the chicken coop was, you know, we had the rabbit cage, we had the acres of, and people that are from Brooklyn are like, tell me more. Like I'm living
Yeah.
vicariously right now, and
Right.
it's something to be said to like just reconnect, plug back into where we come from in a way
Yes.
that's empowering and vulnerable. And I always say we have to be first vulnerable to ourselves, right? People always say, be
Yes.
vulnerable with me. Be like, I need to be vulnerable with myself. I need to tell myself
Right.
some things. You know, I
Right.
need to reconnect with certain things about
Right.
myself to get to the next level, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I, I more than anything, I really started reading again and listening to the stories of others,
Mm-hmm.
and and understanding the storyteller.
Yeah.
Right, really being interested in these authors and
Mm-hmm.
their experiences and their whys and their themes and what the themes that they chose, and spending time with Maya Angelou, and spending time with Toni Morrison, and spending a lot of time with Stephen King even.
Octavia Butler.
And I
Yeah.
Octavia
Yeah.
Butler.
Yeah.
I have some authors that I remember that I liked a lot when I was young, and I had to even say, what was it that really attracted me to them? And so one of the authors his name is Robin Cook,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he wrote medical fiction and like medical sci-fi horrors, and so this is way back in the day, and so understanding the things that I love, like right now, like Black Mirror, and like the mix
Yeah.
of technology and fiction. And so it's like, and like, so what was the impetus behind these things?
Mm-hmm.
And all like the thought-provoking stuff. So just being in a space of taking the time to ask those questions has been fulfilling. It's
Yeah.
been very fulfilling,
Yeah.
to not only tell stories and retell stories, but listen to stories and listen to stories again as I've grown, right? Reading some
Absolutely.
of those things from the past and being like, oh, I didn't really take that from that at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and wondering, why was that my favorite story back then? What was it that attracted me to it? And so that's another way of reconnecting to your roots, is understanding, where was my mind at a certain time, and when did it start veering off this way and that way, you
Word.
know?
Word.
It's been
Yeah.
a really liberating time for me, as well as disheartening,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to awareness, and in regards to seeing how many people are chained to their identities inside of the capitalistic system.
Absolutely. No, it's a fact. You know, it's a fact. And I've been talking a lot in the different spaces, you know, and it's a fact. You know, I think that first of all, we will never be the same. You know,
Yeah.
our lives as we know it. And my hope was that even from the beginning was that we were going to recognize how much of a construct we live in, how much shit is bogus as hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then act accordingly. You know, that's my 2020 theme. Act accordingly.
Yeah.
Understand how we're living, what we're working with, what we get to create, who we are inside of
Yep.
it, and act accordingly. You know, there's a lot of power in that.
Yeah, I say we need to go from the wake up stage to the get up stage, right? A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people wake up, but they still lay in bed. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where I feel like we've been. Like, a lot of people are like waking up to what has been happening, but like still under the covers, like, I don't know if I'm really trying to, like, get up today. And knowing that it's time to actually put our feet on the floor.
Yeah. And I think
And
that, go ahead.
you
Sorry,
know,
go
and
ahead.
that's the part that's exciting. I feel like
Yeah.
we've been just kind of nudged out of the bed, if not pushed or shoved out of the bed, to put our feet on the floor and get into motion.
Yeah. Word. And to get on that, on what you're saying, for me, even inside of the civil unrest, right? It's for me, it's been like once black folks got and whomever else got pacified a bit, you know, like you can get the same job, you can get the same amount of money, you can do this, and everybody's like, okay, I'm cool, I got the house, and I'm not trying to lose it, so I'm gonna chill, you know, do what you want to do, be micro, go ahead, you know,
No, that's it. That's
you
it.
know,
The
it's like
fear. The
the
fear kicked
scarcity.
in
The
again.
scarcity and the fear came about
Yeah,
because I'm trying to keep what you're just now letting me have,
yeah.
right? And so we've had decades of that shit, and
Yep.
now we're in a space where shit has changed. You can't hold on to it if you wanted to at this point. And I talk to people all the time about ownership. Like, if you lay it on your tax bill, on your property, or your mortgage, you no longer own a home. So
Yep.
what's ownership really mean? You
Really
know what I'm saying?
mean. Right.
But for me, all of the other times that we've been in this conversation about shit needs to change, we're still very much connected to status quo and want to
Yes.
get back to it. as
Yes.
quickly as humanly possible. Let me just get back to the
Yes.
money, the income, the job, these
The
false
mindlessness,
securities,
our sports,
everything,
our religion, our
the
our
false sense of
restaurants, our
everything.
food, all of those things.
Right. And it's all been a false sense. Security, safety, all of it, And so now that we've detached from the status, I mean, some of us more before this even happened, but for now that the status quo has even been disrupted, that's how you know something is about to change.
Change,
And
yeah.
now that we're out there in the streets this time, not connected to going back to what it was, but
Before, but
looking
moving
forward to
forward,
something. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
When you talk
different.
about Octavia Butler and you talk about Lauren, and in the parable of the sower and her
Mm,
first scripture, God is change. That is what I feel like. Like when I think of the goodness of Jesus, um, I'm definitely experienced God is change. Like
mm,
this to me feels like God, right? This it like the all of the difference in the temperature and the climate and the awareness and the conversations and the vulnerabilities and the that is a like God change. That's the difference that I'm
yeah.
experiencing as opposed to I'm not that old, what I'm saying? I'm not
Yeah.
that old.
No, you're
But
not. You're not.
they're being able to look back over times when things have like changed, gone through waves. There's the difference between trends and the difference between metamorphosis.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things are
Yeah.
completely new. You don't even recognize it. And I was going through the airport today. Everybody having on a mask and like just this awareness of like everybody having on a mask and just knowing like not even 6 months ago, it was just
It was
like
chilling.
that was the thing that the Asians did. You
Yeah,
know,
we was like, look at them, look what look at them, what they doing? you know?
come through a culture shift and it was quick. And so if
Yeah.
that something like that can change, what can't we do? what
Word.
what you know and
Word.
it really comes down to stop allowing for those changes to come externally and
Mm-hmm.
be intentional inwardly with the changes that we want to see.
Yeah.
We start creating the books of the future. We create the constitution that we get to live out in our prosperity 100 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
Not so like that's where those changes have come from, and it's possible. I seen it. I can see
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I think what you said, there is the power in even podcasting and audio content, right?
Yes.
This this opportunity here to record our voices, which is so
Yes.
powerful, right? In a way that cannot it can be, but right, roll with me.
I'm with you.
Can't be manipulated. Can't be manipulated or translated any other way but how I laid it down. So I'm giving you my experience. You
Right.
can't tell me. You can't then say, okay, well, this is what Talib thinks. I,
Right.
I recorded what Talib thinks,
Right.
right? And so that's what's so important for us in this time period. I think is to be recording and audio and orating and storytelling is one of the most important things that we can do, whether it's narrative or fiction, right? Because it's also always coming from here, from a place
Right.
somewhere.
Right.
Um, it's just important, that this medium that we're working in now is so very important.
Yeah.
Um, in so many ways. You think about any movie that you've seen where the last thing that people were using at the end was a ham radio and audio and broadcasting. That was it. Wasn't nobody was trying to get together on the iPad.
Right.
Are you
Right.
there? Are you there? Our voice, our broadcast, our audio,
Yeah.
lives. It lives
Yeah.
on. You know, I've
There's
listened to slave accounts on audio where someone had the recording, and they were 90 and 100 years old talking up. And there's a whole project. I listened to maybe in the 90s, but being able to listen to these stories, nobody else is saying, okay, well, this is what the slave meant when they said, or this is how the slave
right.
lived. This is their voices telling their story. And that shit is epic.
That's so interesting when I think about the future being able to have access to our actual thoughts. At least total catastrophe and all of the technology is proof wiped away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to have access to our thoughts in audio form and hearing the enthusiasm, right? The
Right, right,
spirit of
right.
our voice. Because I can write something and you read it and still interpret what I meant from that. But when you hear my voice, there's something different that connects to
Absolutely.
my intention within that. And so that excites me to hear it put in that way.
Yeah.
And I want to invite people to start recording messages to yourself, right? Like take time today and this evening and tomorrow and whatever soon, take some time and record a message to yourself for a year from tonight,
Mm,
and say, this is my message to you. This is what's going on with me. This is what I desire for you. Did you make it there? What do you need to do now in order to fulfill? Why was this my dream? Is it still yours?
mm.
Really being with your own self in a shorter period of time to remind yourself of where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to create, and why.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
times we lose our focus because we're not staying in communication with ourselves, and our
Mm,
thoughts trick us all the time. And then
hmm.
we're constantly inundated with so much information coming from so many different streams of awareness and consciousness from other people that we forget what it is that we were thinking. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
to be able to record that and hear your own voice tell you this is what it is, that will be important as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Respect. I love that. I love that. All right, so let's shift gears a little bit.
Okay,
We were talking
where we
about,
go?
obviously, talking about being a storyteller and how important that is.
Yes.
Um, and I think it's something. I don't know if you started watching Lovecraft yet.
Yes, I did.
Did you see the
I
last
saw
episode?
episode 1. No, I
Okay,
only saw the first episode.
get yourself together and get to the third one. All right.
Okay. Okay.
It's so important that we tell our own stories. It's being a storyteller myself, a
Yes.
script writer, all these things, and a visionary. There's a lot of ways in which I can see, like, wow, if this was told by anybody else, it might have looked a bit different.
Right.
But because it's coming from us and our perspective and our storytelling, it looks the way that, and it feels the way that it gets to be and it should be, and it just feels amazing. It just simply
Okay.
feels amazing to see us telling our stories in some powerful ways. We got some amazing talent amongst us, as you know.
Oh, I
um,
this no.
and it's just beautiful to see, And so, as we're talking about storytelling, and we wanted to talk about how that impacts the media, our memory, our mental health, right? And you just talked about that a bit with even just recording, and how that can support those type of things. But what are your thoughts on that?
So one of the things that is important to know about storytelling, leading back to beliefs, right? Taking
Hmm.
in pieces of story, those pieces of story, invigorating certain emotions, those emotions tying and creating new brave wavelengths, and then those grooves creating memories that we continuously replay over and over. It's the
Hmm.
reason why I know all the words to the color purple,
Me
and I
too.
might not know all the right, and I might not know all the words to Low Down in the Shame. So it's
Word.
just depending on what
Yeah.
really connects with your spirit. I think that when it comes down to mental health, a decision of what that looks like to you is important first.
Hmm.
A lot of times we don't even have a clear picture of what a mentally healthy life looks like. Like, what's the example of mental health in your life? Like, I'm asking
Right.
you, what's your example of mental health?
I don't have one. I don't have an
You ain't
exemplary one. I have ideas about how a lot of things that we've been socialized to believe about ourselves, or that is a disorder or an issue, is often a talent or a superpower that we are willing to go with in order to discover things about ourselves. I always look at the schizophrenic human,
okay.
and I wonder, what dimension are they walking in? Which true and real dimension are they walking in that somehow, some way, I am not inside of,
Right.
that they're tapped in a way? I
Right.
don't look at that as crazy, right?
Right.
I look at that it's a thing my daughter talks about where you disconnect from reality a bit.
Yeah,
Dissonance.
disassociative.
Yeah. And I'm like, why wouldn't we disassociate from things that aren't natural for us? You know, the shit that don't make sense that we've been told all our lives. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't we? Right? And so,
Go ahead.
no, go for it.
Okay. So this plays right into, I learned about a woman who created 2,500 different personalities. This is documented in a court case in order to support herself through chronic abuse from her father from the time when she was 2 years old to the time when she was 20 something. Her father had been abusing her, and she created 2,500 different distinct personalities in order to help her to cope with that. It took a long time for someone, it was a officer who had just finished taking a mental health course, to look at her and say, well, maybe she's not crazy, and let me really truly look into this. And when they did, and they discovered the stories and they pieced it all together, they were able to prosecute him after 53 years. When I watched that, I said, just like you think, what if that was a superpower that manifested in a way where she was able to label each one of them and give them a name? What if I do that, but I haven't necessarily named those personalities? What if this is what people do when they say, I didn't quite feel like myself, when they quote unquote snapped? What if these are the ways that we are dealing with things? And instead of criminalizing mental health and mental differences, instead of stigmatizing or externalizing or ostracizing mental differences such as these, what if we really embraced these things and even taught children that these are the ways in which they're expressing themselves for protection, and then they won't turn into these serial killers, right? I really truly believe that people that are serial killers, when you look at them when they were little, the majority of them experienced some severe trauma in their youth, and this is when their brain started splitting. And now they're trying to show you what happened to them in some sort of way. What our society does, we lock them up, we throw away the key, we even kill them, you know, through lethal injection and all of these different kind of things. But had we take the time now to teach that this is just another way that humans' brains operate. What if now we can reel those things in, and we can say, hey, I believe that the angry man is here, and he's wanting to and he's going to instead of being punished for when the angry man shows. I was like, hey, angry man, what are you here? What are you trying to protect? So a lot of the way that we approach mental health has been very unhelpful and unsupportive to the growth and the possibilities, because the brain is so amazing. The brain is it is the most amazing. You know, we think space is amazing, we think the ocean is amazing, but even for us to use the brain in cold space and ocean, it is amazing in itself. That's how amazing the brain is. And there's so much more research to be done in how it works, that said we spend time with really normalizing a lot of these things, what you would call superpowers. What a wonderful world this could be.
If the brain didn't work like that, if the brain didn't work like this, the brain wouldn't work like this. It wouldn't happen, right? It wouldn't.
Right. It wouldn't happen, right? Doing something to protect itself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's protect itself, create, to be able to create. There's people in this world, and I'm sure it's the same for most people, that there's certain people that I know that gets one side of Talib. There's certain people that gets another side of Talib. It's all authentic and genuine. You're just getting what you're going to get, right? And so I think that our socialization in this very world that we live in, James Baldwin said, for us not to be in an eternal rage, right? Is to be unconscious. Is not be conscious of what's actually going on around us, right? And so I always say it's amazing that we aren't all melanated people. Crazy as hell, because we're gaslit from zero to grave, right? Yeah. And socialize in a way that really, and it's societies. All societies do it to their people as a tool to control, right?
Yeah. It's called social predation.
Mm.
Predation is when one predator preys on the next organism. We do that socially and under the guise of many different things. And I was recently, because of the work that I'm working on, I've been doing a lot of study on religion and religious studies. And I went back to my gospel roots and a song came up. And I don't know if you know the song. I bet you do, because you kind of like me. I say yes, oh yes, to your will and to your way, right? And when I started getting into the lyrics, it said, I will trust you and I will obey. And
Mm.
when the spirit speaks to me, my whole heart, I'll just agree. And my answer will be yes. My answer will be yes. It will be, oh, yes. Now,
Yeah. There's another one that's funny as hell, but go for it. Talk about it. Oh my God. Oh my
so
God.
when I
Yes.
start thinking about conditioning, and the ways in which we're conditioned and the places we're conditioned. So we might be thinking that we're singing this song of praise to God. However, we are conditioning our minds to be accepting and obeying and saying yes, yes, yes. Now, if anybody does anything with NLP, linguistic programming, they would know that to get someone to say yes, yes, yes 3 times repetitive, then you can
Mm.
insert anything
Mm.
and that belief will be accepted. Now
Word.
say yes, say yes, say yes. Now reach into your wallet and pull out the highest bill that you have, hallelujah. And then put that into the
Yeah.
collection plate. Show your glory to God, hallelujah. And these are the ways that we're continuously manipulated and we allow it. We
Yeah.
allow it by not being cognizant of these different things, of the yes at the end of a Toyota commercial, and like all of these
Mm-hmm.
different things. We don't teach these things to our
Yeah.
children, and we are very willy-nilly with what it is that we watch in the media. And so when we talk about mental health and media and storytelling, everything is a story,
Yeah.
right? I am a story right now. I have on an Adidas hoodie, but what is my hoodie telling you about me? What is like? So I'm telling you a story with the way that I'm dressed. I'm telling you a
Right.
story with the way that I speak. Oh, she might be from Brooklyn, but she might be from, like, so there's all of these different things that we're constantly telling stories. And when we're not aware of the stories that we're being told, they're affecting us in ways that are manipulating us. That's why we have so much unrest, because
Yeah.
there's parts of us that we haven't even had the opportunity to discover who we truly are without being
Mm-hmm.
told who we are first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, there's a person that's Instagram personality, and she said, folks out here fighting the white man outside, they're not even fighting the white man in the head yet.
Yeah,
And white man being whatever them, society, education
whatever.
system,
Yeah,
all of this. We're not even dealing with how we've been socializing, unpacking these things. Um, what's the imposter syndrome is one of those main things that it's something that we have developed inside of this gaslighting of American education system.
yes,
It's making us believe that we don't belong. We tell
yeah.
stories in our English class, and you get a response like, I asked you to write a true story, not a fictional story. It's like, nah, that's actually a
Ooh,
true
no, that's
story.
the truth.
Yeah, and so always having these, and it starts to work on you. It starts to
Reinforced.
wear
Yeah,
on you. And
yeah,
so now every opportunity we get to support language, right? Because it's so important. I say, we're not taught. You heard me say it. White supremacy, move that away from here, because it's inferiority.
right,
Inferiority is scarce. Inferiority makes um, fear-based decisions, and
right,
that's what we're experiencing. It's nothing superior about that, right?
right,
So let's stop we, like you said earlier, we get to change the way in which we talk, the way in which we experience, the way in which we create, and the way in which we move this forward. So let's stop using the things, right? My
right.
Erica talks about, my love, she talks about, we're still living off a 200-year-old document. They didn't know there was going to be iPads and iPhones. They had no clue where we were going.
And
Yet
I
that is
want
the
to
law of the land that we're still operating off of to this day. What the
the
fuck?
craft the crafters of the document were very both general and specific to their needs. One of the
Their
things that
interest.
the story that I'm working on right now, that I cannot wait to share with you. Oh my God. But the story that I'm working on right now is about the freedom of religion, and what does that truly mean to be free to religiousize in a space where other people have that same freedom.
Absolutely.
And really being with that. What we've done is said freedom of religion, but we were talking about a religious system from over there. Well, what they did was a religious system over there that they wanted to establish, freedom from that over here, not thinking that what that really mean. What does it really mean to have freedom of press? What does it really mean to have freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and just what does that really mean? I think we use words like freedom and really have no concept of the cost of freedom.
Not at all.
That's something that I experienced really with the COVID, was the cost of freedom, in the sense where people are like, look, I don't have to stay inside. This is my right to be, what I mean? Like, it's my God-given right. And it was like, you know what? Right, I guess.
You're right.
But then what had to happen? A resocialization where people had to be villainized. I watched it happen. People had to be villainized for their decision to exercise their freedom.
Right.
This can happen at any given turn. What are we aware of, and of the way things are worded, and how it is that they're being used and abused? And this is important when we start to create future documents, and and how we govern ourselves in our households, the rules that we have in our relationships and the freedoms that we experience there. How are those things hurting and or supporting us? These are the questions that we need to take the time to learn. I really feel adamant that in school they spend so much time on what to know as opposed to how to know it, like how to learn it. Like really learning how to learn something is the difference between life and death.
Absolutely.
And I'm talking about a spiritual life and death.
And knowing how powerful we are. I always say out there that there's been a deliberate act to make it seem as if a normal human being is an extraordinary, different, unattainable human. Martin Luther King was a man who had a dream and made a decision and made a choice, right? He was just like me and you. He made a choice. There's so much power in people, right? And so we can change this thing at any moment. We don't have to go along with anything.
How are you
as long
changing?
As we think that we do.
How are you changing today?
How am I changing? So, really, really understanding that I am possibility in all ways, right? And in all ways, for myself, for the people around me, for my family, but also in that there's a freedom in every choice that I make. Every choice that I make counts. And so understanding that, whether it's me deciding to lay in the bed for a little bit longer, if it's me deciding to exercise or not, if it's me deciding to create or not, it all matters, right? And for me, in the beginning of this, like, okay, so what's going to happen? Like, do we not know from one day to the next if we going to check out of here? That to me said, okay, so how about we live one day like it's our last in a way that we never have before, because before it was cliche and now it's staring us right in the fucking face.
Right.
Every moment that I get to be on the other side in the living world, right? Not in the departed, not in the spirit world, I get to, right?
Yeah.
I get to create. There's a 44-year-old man right now in his grave, done, no more.
Yeah.
But I'm not. And so I get to continue. I get to be a part of this, my eyes wide open, and experiencing the life that I want to live. Life is not short. It's the longest experience that I'm going to have. It's the longest experience you're going to have. No matter when it ends, it's the longest experience that you're going to have. So why am I not in pursuit of what I want inside of this one life that I get to have?
Yeah. One of the things that I've decided was just understanding what's my goal, my goal. What's my personal goal in my dash, right? So my dash started 1979, and I don't know when the end of that dash is, but what's my goal in that dash? And being 100% focused and clear on that goal, right? And accepting all of the experiences around that goal as as gifts leading me toward it and shaping me toward it. But at this point in my life, I want to be so laser in my creation of, for legacy. And what is it that I'm committed without a shadow of a doubt leaving behind in my dash? So when it's all said and done, they were like the iconoclastic Minister Jazz. You know what that word means?
Yeah,
You know
I
what that
know
word means?
it. Yeah.
That's me. Iconoclastic Minister Jazz has left her. This is what it is, and I'm clear about that. I also spent time knowing the kind of person that I am determined to be, right? So then now breaking away out of all of the things that don't add up, and breaking away from all of the people that don't add up to that either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Word.
Ridding myself of those energies. And like, nice to meet you. I love you so much. And bye. You know what I'm saying? And being okay with that. A lot of times I would hold on to certain people and energies and stuff like that for a long time out of fear, right? That fear of understanding that, we meet up and we move on. And till we meet again, peace. But I like just really being clear with that is how I've been up to being the change in my life. Knowing that change within me will catalyze many changes around moving forward and speaking my truth, like not pretending. This is a whole bunch of shit. I just don't believe in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That has been disproven. You will not get me to believe in that, and I'm not gonna pretend that I accept that anymore. I think up until this point in my life, like, I've allowed for things just for socialization so that I can fit in, so that I can belong to something, some group, some people, somewhere, even if it was family members, especially if it was family members. That part, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, I love you, but you can't accept me how it is that I'm showing up in the world, then I don't need to be around you and till we meet again, and that being okay as well. So though giving myself that level of freedom, I believe is a part of creating freedom for the whole, right? Ridding of the labels that chain me and bind me so that I can be a part of the liberation of the whole.
Yeah. And a lot of us, when we talk about purpose and that sort of thing with people, and again, it's a trendy, it's socialized, it's like you must find a purpose. Sometimes your purpose was being born and disrupting disrupting, disrupting the family, because sometimes the abundance that we wish to see in our family lives inside of us. Sometimes we are the key to that liberation and that abundance. Right. And without understanding that, but staying in that past, staying in our bag, and saying, well, this is what happened to me, my mom, my dad, by whomever. Okay, it's really, for me, it's time out. It's time out with staying attached to things that do not serve you. Right. Or support you, because if they don't serve or support you, guess what they ain't doing? And the stories
that don't.
They're not challenging you. Yeah.
The stories that don't. A lot of times we retell stories that don't serve us, that don't support us, and that don't give us life or rejuvenation. And that's not.
Yeah. And distract us from being. I hope you're frozen. I hope you come back.
Yeah, you're putting lots in your own walls.
And they distract us. They distract us from getting to our best life. Right. They distract us from getting to the things that we get to do. If I'm so focused up over here, if I'm so focused up on what's happening in the world, then I can't focus on who I get to be inside of it. Right. Regardless of it, Right. And so that's the work. That's always the work.
So one of the questions that I tell my my people up, I'm like, look, understand what is it that's truly holding you back. What are your chains? A lot of, because we don't see the physical chains on our shackles and things like that, on our legs, arms, bodies, the ones that are in our mind, I always think about Marley, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Like, what is it that's causing you anguish that you can't move forward because you don't have? And you're telling yourself that. And create stories of freedom. Create stories that open doors, create stories and tell yourself the stories that open the windows and that invite those new possibilities in. It is as simple as that. It's very easy. We make it hard.
Absolutely, absolutely. We create a lot of challenges in our mind, and again, socialization. I believe that there's a repressiveness that has been created in us that that just gets generation after generation. That no, we don't talk like that. We don't speak like we don't talk about those things, and so each of us has it inside of ourselves to change the world as we see fit. And it's time for that. If there's been no other time.
When's the last time you worked on your obituary?
I haven't. I haven't.
Right. So these are you like women. So again, they're having a very different.
I've been considering it, but I haven't.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. So I've decided to have a different approach, a much different approach to how it is that I decide the changes, right? And if I create the end of my story, so being a storyteller, right, script writer, like we know we have a plot, right? And in order to really fill in all of the pieces, you might know how your story begins, but it's not really until you know your story ends that you can create the structure. So I was like, well, let me decide, right, with total liberation and freedom, what my story would end like, and then I can create this middle piece, and which would be my obituary and what it would sound like when someone reads it back. I can tell how I can say whatever it is I want, but that's freedom. But then it is I get to see what's important to me. So the first time I really get to imagine and make up what is it that comes up for me when I give myself that freedom to do that, and then ask myself and challenge myself, why haven't I been going after those things that I said is in there? If I want a Nobel Prize, well, what am I doing in order to create that Nobel Prize to be? If I want an Emmy, what am I doing in order to create? Am I living my life in that way? And so, really, am I married? Am I how many grandchildren? Like, what am I doing?
And stop acting like we have all. Stop acting like there's a tomorrow. Stop acting like we got the infinite time, because we don't. Not the day nor the hour. So get urgent. Get urgent about your life.
Get urgent,
right? It's important.
mean?
And I believe I've done that obituary in my workshops, where it's like write what your thoughts about yourself at the end of days, and the person that you love most is reading it back. Who were you? What did you create? What about you did they admire most want to be like, right? And so I'm a true believer that as we manifest our vision, our vision begins to manifest us, right? We can't see the end yet. Because we're seeing it from right now, today.
Right.
Tomorrow I might meet somebody that changed my whole damn life.
Right.
Or create an opportunity that might change the whole trajectory of it. So there's no finish line until it's finished, right? But so in that time, I get to be open to this experience and intentional about it, right? Prioritizing, deprioritizing those things that are simply a distraction from me getting on with the life that I'm choosing, the life that I want to live. Because what the fuck else are we doing if we ain't doing that? If we're not doing that. Tell the people where they can
waste the time. You asked the question. Waste the time.
Yes.
You can get at me at the Minister Jazz. Also, we are much different. Period. COM.
There you go. I feel you.
There's just know that right now I just signed an amazing shopping agreement for a television pilot that I'm working on right now. So I'm so excited about that. And that coming into fruition, and me telling stories on a visual medium, as well as continuing to telling stories through audio and supporting others in telling stories. If you want to learn more about the We Are Much Different movement, get at me. If you want to learn more about Harriet's Bookshop, which is an amazing place in Philadelphia, please get at me.
And where at Harriet's Books What's at Harriet's?
At Harriet's, and it's 2 T's Bookshop.
Yes,
Yeah,
at Harriet's Bookshop.
on
There we go.
Instagram. Yeah, check that out. Follow, and support. You know, my sister, and just all of the things. The grand reopening is going to be on September 26th. So,
Nice.
like tuning in for that. I'll be there. I'll probably be speaking. So if you want to come through, learn more
Okay.
about everything that's going on, come through. Sign up.
Awesome.
Whatever. You know, follow us.
Nice,
And
nice.
I love you.
I love you too. I love
I
you too.
love you
Let me
so.
let me shout us out real quick before they shut us down. And so we have our September 16th inside the Black Podcast Studio with Keisha, TK Dukes as a moderator, Anthony Frazier and Sam Riddle are going to be the panelists for that. September 16th at 8 o'clock. It's a free event. Register in the bio, in the link bio. And then of course Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, which is going virtual November 14th to 15th. You can get your tickets for that right now. Let's get back to the love. I love you too. And I miss you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you.
I know. I miss you
Yes.
so much. We have
Yes.
such an amazing story of connection and synchronicity, and I
Yes.
always just value that forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank
Well,
you so
thank
much
you
for
for
inviting
showing
me
up.
out. And
Yes.
I thank you, everyone in Afro and Audio land. Continue to support my boy Talib, and be sure to attend the Afro and Audios Festival November 14th and November 15th is my birthday.
All right. All right. You take care. Peace. All right. Thank you for joining, everyone. Peace.